Good evening, and thank you for joining tonight's telephone town hall hosted by the City and County of Broomfield. My name's Roger, and I'll be your moderator this evening. Presenters tonight include Mayor Pro Tem Guylene Castriata, Councilmember Heidi Hinkle, Assistant City and County Managers Abby Yellman and David Allen, Public Health Director Jason Balling, and Susan Bellis with Mental Health Partners, along with Broomfield staff who are available to answer your questions tonight. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to tell you about the format for tonight's interactive call. We realize some of you may just want to listen, and that's perfectly fine. But for those who would like to ask a question, we encourage you to press *3 on your telephone. You will be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information. Once the operator notes your information, you'll be returned to the call and can listen to the conversation until you are called upon. So go ahead and press *3 now if you already know your question, and we'll follow that same process throughout the call tonight. If you hear something that's interesting and generates a question, please press *3. We would like to hear from as many folks as possible tonight, so we'll limit all callers to 3 minutes to ask their questions. When it's your turn, I will call your name and ask you to repeat your question for our live audience. Also, a note for panelists and community members asking questions tonight, please speak a little slower than usual and clearly, as this year's telephone town halls are being translated and streamed live in Spanish. If you would like to listen in Spanish or ask your question to our moderators in Spanish to translate for everyone on the call, please dial and call 855-543-3424. Again, 855-543-3424. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Castriata for some opening remarks. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is Mayor Pro Tem Guylene Castriata, and I'm honored to be with you tonight. I would like to start by extending my sincerest gratitude to Patrick Quinn, who served Broomfield for over 40 years and recently resigned as mayor. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve alongside former Mayor Quinn. His leadership and commitment to our community is just a small part of his large legacy in Broomfield. This year, Broomfield is celebrating its 60th year as a city and 20th year as a county. And it would not be the community it is today without the commitment of the many visionary leaders of the past. I'm so proud of this community and each one of you for your dedication and support of each other through this unprecedented time. Throughout the past year, this City Council, City and County of Broomfield staff, and our community have worked together to continue to have tremendous impact and ensure progress on several critical issues and services during this time of crisis. I am proud of this council's leadership and the work of staff to ensure enhanced communication and transparency with our community throughout the pandemic and beyond. We continue to prioritize health and safety, focus on a more inclusive, equitable community, and establish a solidified vision and policy for the growth and development for years to come. I cannot say enough how proud I am of our staff. No matter the challenge, staff continues to find innovative ways to provide services and resources to our community. When the community struggled to engage with services, Broomfield ensured appointment-only options for residents to conduct business. The Broomfield Library Arts and History team created innovative ways for our residents to engage with services, including delivery and curbside service, and found even more creative ways for residents to engage with new cultural experiences at home. Live streaming services allowed artists and art organizations struggling for options to sell their work to connect with audiences throughout Broomfield. Despite the pandemic, Broomfield Building Division reviewed and issued $470 million in permits in 2020, the highest valued and highest number of permits in a single year. Broomfield Police Department faced mounting property crime and multiple COVID restrictions on the jails and courts, which prohibited the taking of inmates. Council worked together with our staff to ensure the police department had the resources it needed, including an increase in staffing, no interruption to training or decrease in budget allocations, as well as continued mental health support for both our officers and our community. Now we are facing a new challenge, along with many metro areas across the state and nation, a growing number of people experiencing homelessness. While we are working with our community, nonprofit partners, and city staff to explore solutions and connect our folks in Broomfield with the resources they need, we find ourselves once again needing to come together as a community with compassion and collaboration to have critical conversations on how we want to tackle this issue and now and into the future. Now I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Councilmember Henkel, for more on her experience with this challenge. Heidi?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Castriata. Hello, everyone, and thanks for being with us tonight. The economic impact to our neighbors who are unhoused is significant and with far-reaching impacts to us all. I wanted to share a note I received about one person's particular experience, and it is a reflection of all the hard work, training, and heart behind what Broomfield represents, and I wanted to share it with you. It reads in part, I wanted to tell you about an amazingly positive interaction I had with two Broomfield police officers. I was walking out of a local bank where two unhoused individuals were sitting outside, loudly screaming at everyone. I stopped to see if I could help, and two Broomfield police officers showed up and started talking to them. I walked back to my car and stayed to watch what happened. And those officers treated those two individuals with kindness and dignity. They were able to de-escalate the situation so that everyone was able to be safe. And keep in mind, these two officers endured being cussed at countless times, and not one single time did they raise their voice or change their posture. At a time when there are definitely individual officers who give the lot a bad name, I wanted you to know that we have at least two, in my view, were the hands and feet of Christ in the community today. And I wanted to thank Joyce for sending that to me and the officers involved for showing how we expect to be treated and treat each other in Broomfield. These officers are just two among all of our Broomfield PD who understand the social injustices we face today. I am proud that in Broomfield we are taking the critical and methodical approach to work with our community to do better for the next generations. While there's still much work to be done, I'm confident this community is and will come together to embark on this healing journey together and come out stronger. Now, I would like to turn it over to our Assistant City and County Manager, Abby Yeoman. Abby?
Good evening, everyone. Sorry about that. And thank you for being with us tonight. And thank you, Councilmember Hinkle. If anyone has any questions, staff is available to talk more about steps the city and county is taking to walk alongside our unhoused neighbors, some of the challenges we face, how our local nonprofit organizations and faith-based communities support our unhoused, and how you can get involved. Before that, I do want to remind everyone that starting June 1st, the city and county is excited to resume normal operations with drop-in access to most services while continuing to offer virtual options in many cases. We are eager to see all of your faces in person again and are committed to continued public health protections while vaccination efforts continue. The city and county is always seeking ways to better serve residents, and we hope you will find the hybrid model of service offerings convenient for your diverse needs. Visit broomfield.org/findmyservice to find the best way for you to access the services you need starting June 1st. Again, that's visit broomfield.org/findmyservice. Now I would like to turn it over to our Assistant City and County Manager, David Allen. David?
Thank you, Abby. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being with us tonight. With summer just around the corner, we want to encourage you to stay safe and keep Broomfield in the clear by following these 6 tips for a safe Memorial Day weekend and beyond through summer. First, get vaccinated. Wear a face covering when the situation requires. Protect teens and children that are unable to get vaccinated and are still at risk. Opt for outside events and gatherings where there's less risk than indoor gatherings. Evaluate risk. Depending on your vaccination status, medical history, or other factors, some events may present more risk than others. Finally, check your local public health ordinances before traveling. Unnecessary traveling is still not recommended, but if you do travel, keep in mind other states or counties may have local rules in place that vary from Broomfield. Now I'd like to turn it over to our Public Health Director, Jason Balling. Jason?
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Last month, we reminded residents that we needed to make it through the month of May, and we're almost there. Vaccination rates in Broomfield are outstanding, some of the best in the metro area. In fact, over 74% of eligible Broomfielders have initiated or completed their vaccines. This is wonderful news, as data is showing that counties with higher vaccination rates have lower COVID cases. And that's definitely holding true for Broomfield. As vaccines are approved or gaining approval for anyone 12 years and older, Broomfield teens and parents are stepping up, with over 38% of Broomfielders ages 12 to 15 having received their first dose. This is outstanding and is an important step in protecting Broomfield's youth. Tonight, I'm asking those who have not yet taken advantage of the vaccine to please act now. It's easier than ever to get vaccinated. Many vaccine providers no longer require appointments, and vaccinations are available at many local pharmacies, healthcare providers, at community vaccination events, and even at local businesses in partnership with the state. Another exciting announcement tonight: you can win up to $1 million by getting vaccinated. Again, you could get $1 million just by getting vaccinated. The Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, in partnership with the Colorado Lottery, will conduct 5 random weekly drawings to identify a total of 5 vaccinated Colorado residents to win $1 million cash prize. The drawings will occur throughout June and July, so the sooner you get vaccinated, the more drawings you'll enter into, and the more likely you are to win. If you have been vaccinated, you're already entered for all 5 drawings. Visit broomfield.org/COVID vaccine to find a vaccine provider near you. Again, that's broomfield.org/COVID vaccine. For more details on the Colorado Comeback Cash Drawing, including eligibility information and frequently asked questions, visit coloradocomebackcash.com. While we're eager to get to your questions, we want to take a moment to introduce Susan Bellis, an amazing partner with Mental Health Partners, who's been critical in working with us in the emerging behavioral health crisis facing our community. Susan?
Thank you, Jason, and good evening to everyone. We wanted to celebrate, this is May, it's Mental Health Night, Mental Health Month. And what I really am excited about sharing tonight is this is some of our resources in response to the tragedy and the shooting that happened in Boulder. And I know that impacts us and our community closely. And so these are some of the reminders of resources, but I'm highlighting the one in the middle that says My Resilience website. So this is a free website. So it's boulderresilience.com, and it, again, named after the tragedy that happened in Boulder, but it's free. It's not too complicated, so somebody can access mental health resources without necessarily having to go see a counselor or try and get in somewhere. You can just go to the website, and maybe it's like, I'm really feeling fearful or anxious, and then there's like, here's 3 different strategies you could try. So I recommend trying out the boulderresilience.com website, and wishing you all a good May and good mental health. And back to our moderator.
All right, Susan, thank you. I also understand you can find more information on mental health resources at broomfield.org/MH resources. So lots of resources out there. For those of you that joined the call late, good evening. I'm Roger, your moderator tonight for this interactive community conversation hosted by the City and County of Broomfield, Mayor Pro Tem Castriana, and Council Member Hinkle. You can participate in the discussion by pressing *3 on your phone. You'll be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information and get you in the queue. So that is *3 again on your phone to ask a question. And let's take some now. We're going to start with Teresa. Go ahead. You're live. You are live. Let's go to Linda next. Linda, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I was wondering how Broomfield residents can help or support our unhoused neighbors.
Hi, Linda. This is Dan Casey, the Director of Human Services in Broomfield. And that's a really great question. I think the best way that you can help our unhoused is to become involved with our nonprofit community and volunteer. There's a couple ways you can do that. One of the agencies that does a lot of work with our unhoused is the Refuge. And you can go online to therefuge.com and look at their website for opportunities to volunteer there. Broomfield Fish is also another organization that you can get involved with that helps support our unhoused, and they're broomfieldfish.org. And then you can always reach out to the Broomfield Community Foundation, and they can connect you with other nonprofit resources as well, and they are at broomfieldfoundation.org. The last thing I would recommend that you do is maybe reach out to us at Human Services, and we've got a lot of other resources available for folks that want to help or lean in, and you can reach us by phone at 720-887-2200.
All right, thank you. Let's try Teresa again, see if you're there this time. Teresa, go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can now. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm a student nurse, and I have a question regarding the vaccine as far as we were prioritized, so we got vaccinated in December or January, and what we're hearing is that the immunity can run out within 6 to 7 months. What happens to us now? Do we get another vaccine? Is there a booster in the work? Is there a plan for that?
Hi, Teresa. It's Jason Balling, and that's an excellent question, actually one that we get often. Both the National Institutes of Health and the CDC is currently looking at how long a person's immunity lasts once they have received the vaccine. And they're both looking at those people that participated in the clinical trials and what's happening in the real world. As we get more information from the National Institutes of Health and the CDC, we'll be ready to work with the state and obviously stand up our existing vaccine clinics and efforts that we have in place to get people vaccinated if that is needed and is the case. So as we learn more, we'll make sure that we're communicating out to the public, and you can always visit our website, broomfield.org, to get more information. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have an all-star panel tonight, including Jason Balling, who you just heard from. So if you'd like to ask a question, please press *3 on your phone, and one of our operators will get you in the queue right away. We'd love to hear from you. *3 to ask a question. Let's go to Martin next. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Martin Dormish. I live in Ward 1, and I'm also a Minister of Community Engagement at the Refuge, which Dan mentioned earlier. And I'd like to initially speak to the question that Linda brought up earlier in regard to our website, in case anyone is interested in checking out how to get involved with the Refuge and our different outreaches. Our website is actually therefugeonline.org. So I'm not sure what the other website would go to, but if you want to go to our website, it's therefugeonline.org. And I guess I just wanted to, my question was kind of rhetorical, that I wanted to throw out to the panel, and that is, what would it look like for Broomfield to become the best version of itself? And before you attempt to answer that, I had a couple thoughts since the topic of this evening's discussion in town hall is at least in part about our neighbors who are unhoused. I wanted to offer a few facts and then a few thoughts for my fellow neighbors in Broomfield to consider. So first of all, I want to commend the city, the police department, human services, public health, the whole team for their efforts during the pandemic this year. It's been really hard. I'm sure a lot of people are burned out from working extra hours, and that's just incredibly valuable, all the effort and time and blood, sweat, and tears that you all have put into keeping us safe and helping us to make it through this really difficult time. In regard to our neighbors who are unhoused, I've worked with people in challenging situations like that for over 10 years. And I've definitely seen an uptick during the pandemic in people who are in that situation. And I just wanted to point out that the majority of the people in our area who are unhoused in their vehicles or outside, or who are doubled or tripled up with family or friends, are people who have connections with Broomfield, strong connections with Broomfield. And that includes our students. One of the statistics that I looked at recently, the most recent statistic from one of our local school districts, is that there were more than 36 students who were unhoused, and that is not including their family members. So you think about, siblings and parents who are also in that situation. And then I would say just an informal survey from people that we work with at the refuge, 3 out of 5 or so of those that we come across that are in a situation where they don't have a roof are working. They're trying to move forward, but they just face a lot of obstacles, and every person's situation is unique. So to speak very briefly to what's being done, I wanted to highlight 3 things very briefly. And Dan did a great job of sharing some basic contacts where, if people are want to be more involved from the community in efforts to come alongside our neighbors who are unhoused, that's awesome. One effort is Built for Zero. This is a national effort that we've begun working on here locally and in partnership with our adjacent counties in the metro area. And this is an effort, at least initially, the goal is to end veteran homelessness, which I think is something that every community member in Broomfield can get behind. If anybody's interested in more information about that effort or wants to be a part of that, then please go to that website, therefugeonline.org, and go to the contact page. Send us an email, and I can help connect you to that effort. Another one, very briefly, that's in the works and is moving forward thanks to the partnership that we have with Broomfield Fish and with Human Services and other city agencies, other local nonprofits, is Broomfield Cares Outreach Van. So I know some people have questions about tent encampments that have popped up in Broomfield, whether it's on 120th or other areas, as well as people who are living in their vehicles. And that outreach van effort will be focused on going to where people are at to try and get to know them, see if they want any resources or need any help, and to lower barriers for them to, take that next step toward becoming housed again. And again, if that's something that you're interested in, fellow Broomfield folks out there, just send an email to the refuge and we can help connect you to that effort. So I guess my last comment is just that this is a difficult sort of thing to observe and become aware of in our community because it's not pleasant, but it is reality. And I would just encourage you not to look away, but to turn the awareness that you may have of, seeing more people in that situation into action. And please don't consider it someone else's problem or responsibility to solve, but please get involved. And I just would say that the true greatness of a community is really determined by how the most vulnerable members of that community are treated. So thank you all for your time.
All right, thank you, Marty. Let's go really some important stuff that you talked about there, and we thank you for that. Let's go to Chris next. Chris, go ahead, you're live.
It kind of sounds like I'm beating a dead horse by now because almost everybody's talking about the homeless population here in Broomfield. I I hear a lot about, hey, volunteer here, volunteer there. Our nonprofit organizations are helping, but what exactly is the city of Broomfield doing? Are you building shelters? Are you building affordable housing? Or what are we doing to help those people besides the volunteers and the nonprofits?
Hi, Chris. Thank you for your question. Currently, Broomfield City staff is proactively making contact and engaging with homeless individuals to communicate available resources. In addition, BPD, our Broomfield Police Department, continues to monitor the health and safety of individuals experiencing homelessness in Broomfield. I believe some of the other questions that you were posing about looking at a shelter or things like that, those are all conversations that are continuing to happen, will continue to happen down the line as we engage more with City Council on that topic. Thank you.
All right, thank you again. Star 3 to get in line and ask a question. Lots of good questions and a group of great folks ready to answer them. So please press star 3. Let's go to Carol next. Go ahead.
Hi, and thank you for listening to me. I was told in 2019 my house was paid for, and now I'm being told it's not, and they're trying to take it away from me. And I got a court date on the 18th, but I'm told it's virtual, and I don't know how to do that. And I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared of being out. You know, I've got things. I mean, is there anybody that can help me?
Hi, Carol. This is Dan Casey, the Director of Human Services, and I'm sorry to hear that you're going through this right now. I think my best advice for you right now tonight is to give us a call. Let us get more details, and then we can help direct what needs to be done in your situation. If you wouldn't mind calling our Human Services office tomorrow, and probably the best number for you to call would be 720-887-2290. That's a call-in number that has a staff member there from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. So call anytime during business hours. Give us some more details, and then we'll help navigate you through that.
All right, thank you, Dan. Next is Donna. Go ahead, Donna.
Yeah, I was wondering, you know, I was familiar with Fish not taking direct donations during COVID. Now that things are opening up, are they going to start taking direct donations, or do people still need to, like, give cash or whatever?
Hi, Donna. This is Abby. So I appreciate that question. We ironically were just at Broomfield Fish yesterday. So I believe they are taking donations currently. And obviously you can drop those off. They have a large blue donation bin on the north side of their building, which is located at 6 Garden Center, that you can drop off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday between 9 and 5 p.m. I also remember that they do have donation bins usually at the Broomfield King Supers as well, that you can take donations. And then, of course, as you mentioned, if folks like me sometimes don't have the time to get over there, they do take online donations at broomfieldfish.org. We really appreciate your support of their organization in that question. Thank you, Donna.
All right, great questions. Let's go to Jeff next. Go ahead.
Thanks for letting me ask a question here. So I read on Nextdoor that the Broomfield City Council is allowing homeless encampments in public parks here in Broomfield. Is that true?
Hi, Jeff. This is Guyleen, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm glad you brought up that question because our inboxes were flooded today because of this Nextdoor post. And I'll start by saying it's patently false. This was about one tent in the Commons that has created this massive misinformation campaign that we are now encouraging people to camp in the Commons Park. Not true. The other part of the message, which I didn't see directly, but the emails alluded to the fact that our police department was telling people that the city council told them not to take action. That again, patently false. Not true. So I guess the moral of the story is don't believe everything that you read on Nextdoor. And to that, I would like to pass it over to our police chief, Gary Krieger, to clarify the comments that were made about his officers. Chief?
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate the opportunity. So as you've heard tonight, this is a very complex issue, and equally complex is the laws that pertain to it. So I'll give you the direction the officers are provided, and one is any homeless or issues on private property, the private property owner has the right to have those people removed or ask them to leave, and if they don't, they can call the police and we will ask them to leave as well. City parks, homeless or anybody else are allowed to use the parks during normal business hours, just like any citizen. However, we do not allow overnight camping in the park itself. When it comes to open space, that's a little bit more of a difficult question because the courts have not been particularly fond of any kind of local ordinances that are geared specifically towards the homeless. And so if the court will look at those kinds of cases and being on public property where there isn't an ordinance prohibiting the camping and the totality of the circumstances and where and what other options are available to that individual. So we have to be a little bit more cautious with those, but we are always out there. We know we have periodic contact with them. We're always checking on them. We're always seeing what resources they need and how we can best assist them. So this is a really complex issue and one that will require continued conversations and problem solving.
Thank you. The moral of the story is don't believe what's on next door half the time. We again are encouraging you to press *3 if you would like to ask a question of our panel tonight, and we're going to go to Larry next. Go ahead.
Thank you. My question has to do with hypodermic needles. In some of my interactions in trying to help homeless communities, some of the communities have people who are suffering from substance abuse. And in some cases, there are large quantities or even small quantities of hypodermic needles left around. As we're getting people in more public areas, perhaps, what is Health and Human Services doing to help make sure that the areas remain safe, both for the unhoused folks as well as the general community who are in the area?
Hi, Larry. Thank you for the question. Clay Shuck, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services. As I stated earlier, our Broomfield Police Department continues to monitor the health and safety of individuals experiencing homelessness in Broomfield. As I interact with them and they're evaluating those campsites and as they're talking with the individuals, if they feel there is a public health issue, they work through the command staff, and then we have a multidisciplinary team that will go out and evaluate a campsite if we need to. That involves our public health staff, our open space staff, our park staff, and our PD. And so we are trying to work together to look at those various issues. And if, like I said, if we do see a concern, we'll go out and, if need to, contract with a vendor for any type of cleanup. Dan Casey, I believe, is going to answer additional part of that about just the substance abuse.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And I think that a lot of times folks have the initial understanding that everybody experiencing homelessness is dealing with substance misuse or substance abuse, and that's not always the case. But we do have both of our community mental health centers, mental health partners, and community reach available, and they have programs that are specific for our homeless populations. If we run into someone that we need to refer to treatment, we can do that. And I know Susan Bellis from Mental Health Partners is on this call as well, so maybe later on in the conversation, or if she's ready now, can provide some additional information about that. But as far as the public health hazard, I think Clay addressed that, and we evaluate that on a case-by-case basis.
All right, thank you.
I could just hop in. I think for Mental Health Partners, one of the things we've gotten is a community grant right now. We have some outreach workers, and they're working closely with some of the agencies like Fish and the Refuge to be out in the community and try and connect with people who need help, who need to be connected to those mental health services. We have a couple people on our staff who specialize in substance use treatment, And coming this July, we're going to be adding a more intensive program for substance use, an IOP program, intensive outpatient program. But we'll probably have to work out would be transportation, because that will be out of our Boulder crisis site. Thanks all.
All right, thank you. Why don't we take a quick break and have Abby Yellman give us a quick update on some community events coming up this summer.
Thank you, Roger. I'm actually going to throw it over to Clay Shuck, who's going to talk to us a little bit about a couple of events coming up and our June 1st reopening.
Thank you, Abby. Clay Shuck, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services. We're really excited to get back to some sense of normal. And with that, we're looking forward to our June 1st opening back up of the Bay. So I'm very excited about that, very excited to see our youth be able to get back out and use the Bay. It was really hard watching it close last summer. So we're looking forward to that opportunity for the community. In addition, we have several special events that are going to be coming up. The Brouhaha on June 12th from noon to 5 p.m. at Arista Park in Arista Place. That's a fun event. Some local breweries will be out there, and it's a good family event as well. We'll have lawn games. We have some bands playing. So it's a great opportunity to get out, see your neighbors again face to face, and just enjoy this time together. Still, in addition to that, we're looking forward to our July 4th celebration. That will be a great opportunity again for the community to come back together and connect. So those are just a few of the special events we have coming up, and I'm going to turn it back to Abby Yeoman.
Yeah, and so I'd like to actually introduce our Director of Library and Cultural Affairs, Catherine Lineup, who's going to also talk about summer concerts. Catherine?
Good evening. Thank you, Abby. And I'm super excited that we are starting up the summer concerts again. And those will be outside the backside of the auditorium and library, so a little different than normal, not by the lake. And we've got a great lineup for you starting June 9th at 7 p.m. with the Taylor Scott Band. If you'd like more information, you can go to broomfield.org/summer concerts to learn the full lineup. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So excited to hear about these new events coming back. Let's go to Shelley next. Go ahead, Shelley, you're live.
Hello, my name is Shelley Newman. I called Broomfield Police last evening to report a shelter and a tent in the south open space near Sheridan, south of the athletic fields. I also wrote each and every one of you a letter expressing my concern and giving you a solution. After I spoke with the police officer, I went to a neighbor who made the post on Nextdoor. She turned her phone on speaker. I stood there while she proceeded to ask the police officer questions to make sure we had facts correct. That police officer verbatim told her exactly what he told me. That Nextdoor, the original Nextdoor post from Tanya Ward is 100% accurate based off of my personal phone call and then being on a speaker call with that police officer. You all have records. You can go to the call center. I called through dispatch. Go to Tanya. And you will find out who the police officer is who responded to our calls. He said he had received about 5 calls that evening. So to say that was not true is completely and totally inaccurate from the source. Now, as far as what might not be correct is you all are saying you never told the police chief and the chief never told the police officer. Well, I'm telling you, the police officer did not say that to us. What is written in my statement is 100% accurate, and what is in that Nextdoor post is 100% accurate. So there is a huge communication going on somewhere. And I think it's time everybody get to the bottom of it and communicate properly to us. I received numerous emails today from Liz, who's in my ward. I'm in her ward, excuse me. And also from, I believe it's the manager of the department, and then there's a couple other. And they all said the same thing, that no, this we don't support this. However, this shelter and encampment, or tent, if you will, was an open space, which you addressed that it's more complicated. But to sit here and tell the public that the statements made by someone was false, when you were not the source of that conversation with the police officer, is completely inappropriate and inaccurate. So please, I beg you, speak with your police officer, do your research, and get to the bottom of this huge miscommunication. I appreciate everything everyone does, and we have social issues. We want to help. We want to get involved, and we want to do things. I made a suggestion to you all. Take it or leave it, but get your facts straight, and do not tell us that our statement is false whenever we had the direct conversation with the police officer, and I was on both of those calls. It's completely inappropriate. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Shelley. I think what you misunderstood was the previous caller asked if it was true. And I said it wasn't true, because that's not how it works. The city council does not direct the police chief to direct officers. That is handled through the city and county manager's office. They don't report to us. So we would not be giving them that direction. So I can't, confirm or deny what the police officer said or who said it, but it's just not the way it works. I'm on city council. I know we did not give that direction. So I can emphatically state that that part of what you heard is not true. So in all fairness, it created a lot of angry emails saying that we condone encampments in the public open space because there was one tent. I think it got a little out of control. So it's probably best to, vet your information and not create a giant dust up over one tent. Thank you.
All right, we have about 15 minutes left. If you'd like to get in the queue to make a comment or ask a question, please press *3. We are going to go back. Abby has a couple more events to mention. So let's do that, and while you all are queuing up for questions. Abby, go ahead.
Thank you, Roger. Yes, everybody, this is Abby again. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Broomfield. Is very lucky to have two very fantastic museums in our community. One is our Depot Museum. It's located at 2201 West 10th Avenue. I just really want to encourage folks, if you're out on a Saturday and you want to come and visit and learn a little bit about Broomfield's history. I know the kids always love learning about Shep. Please don't forget about our Depot Museum. They love to see our visitors on Saturday. I also just attended an event at the Broomfield Veterans Memorial Museum this past week, and I wanted to give a little shout out to their event that they have coming up on Monday on Memorial Day. Every year they celebrate a Memorial Day ceremony and picnic in the Broomfield Commons. This year it'll be at 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. So if you can come out and support our Broomfield Veterans Memorial Museum, they're just a great organization, totally driven by volunteers. They're just such a nice group of folks. And so if you have time on Monday, please come out to the Commons at 11 a.m. to see them. If you want to go visit the Broomfield Veterans Memorial Museum, it is located at 12 Garden Center. And you can also make a donation if you're interested in that at the broomfieldveterans.org website. So thank you, Roger, for letting me give a little plug for our Broomfield veterans and our museums.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go back to questions now. Todd, you're next. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Todd Cohen. I live in Ward 5. And since the topic of homelessness has come up so much tonight, I wanted to offer an invitation to folks. I work at Regis University, and we are participating in a pilot project that the city and county of Denver is launching to take a different approach to handle homelessness and housing. That rather than go in and ask the police to clean out camps and sweep people, treat them as others, and just move them along, Denver is hosting or funding what they call safe outdoor spaces, which are enclosed spaces where they provide the unhoused people with a tent, electrified, and with services. And the idea is that rather than expect homeless people who have transportation and other limitations to go around and try to access services, they bring the services to them. In addition, they provide a stable, safe, 24/7 monitored location where they can get themselves back on their feet. So we are hosting an open house at 6 to 7 p.m. on June 3rd next week to give people an opportunity to see this new SOS that we're opening on our campus. It's located in a parking lot in a corner of our campus, away from campus, but it provides a safer space for these folks. And you're welcome to come and see this pilot project as a different way to address homelessness. I know Regis is about 20 minutes from Broomfield. It's at 50th and Federal. If you go to regis.edu/safe space, you can see more information about that, and would love to see anybody who wants to come by.
Thank you, Todd. That's great information. I encourage people to go take a look. Let's go next to Robin. You're live. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for everything that you have done and continue to do. I've got two questions tonight. One, I wanted to ask if we were going to continue these town hall meetings for some time. Now that everything's reopening, would they continue to have one once a month on the last Thursday of each month? And my other question was, someone just mentioned just a little bit ago about having a July 4th celebration. And I just wanted to touch on the question of whether or not it is legal to be shooting fireworks off from private developments in your backyard or your front yard.
Hi, Robin. This is David Allen, Assistant City and County Manager, and thank you for your questions. As far as we know, right now we're continuing with the town hall meetings on the schedule. We're getting a lot of participation and continued participation from the community, and we really appreciate the level of engagement, particularly on the topics and the challenging issues that we've had to overcome in this past year. So, for the time being, we are going to continue with these town hall meetings. In regards to your question regarding the legality of fireworks, I'd like to turn that over to our Chief of Police, Gary Krieger.
Sure. Thanks, David. So it is not legal to shoot off fireworks in the city and county of Broomfield. We highly encourage everyone to come out to Commons Park and enjoy the wonderful picnic in the park and fireworks show hosted by the city and county of Broomfield on the 4th of July. We will have extra officers on patrol before, during, and after the 4th, enforcing fireworks, private fireworks shows where people are lighting fireworks off in their front yard or their backyards, and we will be issuing summonses for those violations. But more than that, it's just darn dangerous to do because we always end up with a few injuries from people using private fireworks, and then usually by that time of year, we have a fairly high fire risk. And that can cause a lot of unintended damage and hardship for a lot of people. And so, therefore, we really highly encourage everybody to come join us at Commons Park for the city-sponsored fireworks show. Thanks for the question.
All right, next is Jan. Go ahead, Jan.
Hi, I have a question regarding programs, Silver Sneakers programs at the rec centers. I was wondering if there's any plan to resume a drop-in process for Silver Sneakers exercise classes. In the past, it was very easy to just drop into a class, get a card with the number on it, and attend the class. Now we have to register every 2 weeks for classes using the brex.org computer process. And I understand that that's going to become a little easier sometime in June, but I would really love to see a drop-in process again because it was so much easier. And, if in the 2-week process, if for some chance you don't get to attend one of those classes, you're really supposed to cancel out of that class, but if people don't, then there's an extra space that is not available for anybody else. So I was wondering if somebody could address that.
Hi, Jan. Clay Shuck, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services. Thank you for your question. For the time being, we're going to remain with appointments for our fitness classes. We are continuing to evaluate as we move through this reopening, and if that changes, we'll definitely let the participants know that we're moving back to that drop-in method. But for right now, we are going to stay with appointments. Thank you.
All right. We have just a couple minutes left. If you'd like to get in the queue, kind of last call, and press *3 on your telephone keypad. Maybe I'll ask Jason if he's still on. Are there still sites available for vaccinations here in Broomfield? And where do you find that information? I think you mentioned it earlier, but in case anyone is still looking for a site and want to get entered in that $1 million giveaway, why don't we go over that information one more time?
Yes, thanks, Roger. Sorry about that. To find information for vaccines within our county or in surrounding areas, you can go to our website. Again, it's broomfield.org/COVID vaccine. And you can find events that are happening in or providers in Broomfield or providers in surrounding areas. Specifically for the Colorado comeback drawing, again, your chance to win up to $1 million by just getting vaccinated, the COVID vaccine, that's Colorado Comeback Cash. So if you go to coloradocomebackcash.com, you can get more information. Thanks again, Roger.
Thank you, Jason. Well, we've kind of come to the end of our time for tonight's telephone town hall. We might want to take this opportunity just to have everyone make some final remarks. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have some final remarks for us tonight?
Yes, thank you, Roger. On behalf of myself, Councilmember Henkel, and the city staff, I want to thank you all for participating in tonight's community conversation. Our next regularly scheduled resident community conversation is Thursday, June 24th at 7 p.m. Residents are encouraged to engage with us by calling 855-695-3744 through Channel 8 or via live streaming on Broomfield's website, broomfield.org. Thank you all for being with us tonight, and have a good night.
All right. Again, thank you for joining us, and these calls will continue on the 4th Thursday of the month. We appreciate your participation and wish you a very good evening. Good night.